One of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate measure of an individual is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience. It's where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. I think it's safe to say there's been a little challenge and controversy. Perhaps that's an understatement on my part. But if I look at climate change, social and racial injustice, a pandemic like we haven't seen in 100 years, it's been tough. Our lives have been uprooted and challenged in many different ways. But as a leader, it's also incredibly motivating to me, and hopefully you, during this time. So the bottom line is it's been a challenging year, by no doubt. No, every stretch of the imagination, it's been a challenging year. But in some of these darkest moments, these times of challenge, I think that's when we can be at our best. And I've watched our coworkers and leaders, and whether it be in the company or the community, come together to have a positive impact, both in our company and our world. And as a leader, these are the moments that shape you. These moments provide clarity on how you think, what you believe, and ultimately how you act. And they can be great pivot points for change. As I reflect on my career, there's been many moments, but a few moments that really stand out, that shaped me and my leadership. You see it up on the screen there, October 5th, 2018. On October 5th, 2018, we lost one of our coworkers, Jim Farrington, in a work-related accident. He was from the Traverse City headquarters. I will never forget that call. I will never forget that day. My thoughts for the family and their pain and suffering, my thoughts for my fellow coworkers. At Consumers Energy, we are truly a work family. In short, just family. And even though I was several layers removed from Jim, I too was suffering. Every day in our company, people work around things that are dangerous, electric and natural gas. That's what we do. And we do it safely, and we can do it safe, but on that day, we failed. And we let a member of our family down. We didn't send him home in the same way that he came to work. We didn't send him home safe to his family. And I own that. There are two things that proved to me that day. One, the incredible family we have, the incredible love we have as coworkers to care for Jim and his family and his coworkers. It's extraordinary. And number two, never again. Our stand as a company is every day is a safe day. And by all measures, you can look at a lot of different stats and statistics. We're top quartile in terms of safety. But we didn't live up to it that day. We missed. In the next few weeks after that event, I couldn't sleep. And when I did sleep, I had nightmares. Bad nightmares. I was not at peace. Because of that event, the one thing that I walked away with is first quartile is not good enough. Just isn't. We had to move beyond safety policies and procedures, and we had to get to the heart. We had to get to the heart of why work safe. As a company, we had to become a force of change for safety for our customers and our coworkers. And that's what we did. In order to work differently, we had to lead differently, had to think differently, and create a meaningful reminder for all our coworkers on why we work safe every day. Ultimately, to go home to our loved ones, to get at the heart, to honor those from our past, and remind each of us about the importance of working safe every day. Again, head, and most importantly, heart. As leaders, you can't be everywhere. And this is the important piece. It requires us to lead not only with head, but with heart. Now, in the military, when our troops are in battle, they often have a coin, a mission coin, and they carry it with them, and they carry it with their pocket every day. And the coin has quite a bit of weight. It's a reminder of the mission and why they're there. Now, for more than 135 years, we have served Michigan. And over the course of 135 years, 208 individuals have lost their lives serving at our company. We don't want to add another name to that list. Never again. Never again. So we created a 208 coin as a reminder to honor and care for and why we work safe every day, to carry that with us. And so today you can walk up to nearly every member of our family and you'll pull out their 208 coin. Got mine too. We also created a traveling memorial wall and a Consumers Energy Remembrance Day. And the reason I share this with you today is because as leaders, our important role is not just to keep people's head in the game, but keep their heart in the game as well. Mary, Jim's wife, said, learn from this, and we have. We made a promise to never again, and we have. 8,500 coworkers strong, united, both head and heart, as a force of change. January 30th, 2019. I don't know if you'll remember that. Maybe a show of hands if you remember that day. I'll remind you, falling temperatures, sub-zero temperatures, wind chill approaching 40 below. It was a big day. We were in the middle of a polar vortex, and Governor Whitmer had declared a state of emergency. In the early morning, my phone rang, and we had a fire at our Ray compressor station, one of the largest sources of natural gas for the state of Michigan and our customers. Immediately, I thought about the safety of every one of our coworkers that were on site. And once I knew that was okay, I started to think about our customers and the impact to our facilities. Sub-zero temperatures is a big deal. Now, as you might imagine with any incident, there's a variety of information coming at you, limited information in some cases, a lot of opinions and ideas on what we needed to do to keep our facilities and customers safe. We serve 3 million residents in the state, natural gas, important to keep families healthy and warm, particularly in Michigan's cold winters. On that day, there was momentum growing in our control center. And they were mobilizing a small army to go out and turn off valves, cut off customers to save the system. So I want to be real clear about this. This is not going to your home and turning the valve at your meter. This was going to a city gate and cranking one of those big, large valves and shutting off a whole town. And all I could think about was the elderly and the needy who were counting on heat, those vulnerable customers. And I knew at that point we had to lead differently. We had to think differently. I remember saying, we are not going to do that. In the midst of that commotion, we are not going to do that. As a leader, you often have to lead people through fear and uncertainty. It's part of our job. And take moments to see the big picture. Leaders set reality. And leaders create hope. I asked my leaders to believe in something different, something positive about this. And all this looks it's much more familiar now. Because we had Texas this year and the events of Texas. Right? We saw what happened in Texas. And it was different here in Michigan. Right? What we asked was people to make and come together, united as one state to do something extraordinary. And you'll remember that evening, you probably received the text message from the state offices to turn down your thermostat. And we did that. One state. Instead of shutting off all our customers and leaving some in the cold, we asked all of you to join us. And this entire state answered the call. Leaders set reality, and leaders create hope. And all of us, united, proved that when we come and work together, we can be a force of change. March 18th, 2020. In the early days of the pandemic, and you'll remember those days. Schools closed, offices closed. It looked bleak. It was a frightening time for many of us. We sent a portion of our coworkers home to work remote. And the other coworkers had to remain in the field to serve our customers. As people were home and the stores continued to grow, again, it was looking more and more bleak. Now, a reminder, our workforce deals with invisible hazards every day. Electric, natural gas, all dangerous, you can't see them. But this virus was something more, much more. Our coworkers were afraid to work together and afraid to go into customers' homes. And yet, we needed hospitals, we needed grocery stores to remain open. We had to enter nursing homes. We have to enter customers' homes, and we didn't know the state of the individual's health. Can you imagine that? Again, people were afraid, and our coworkers were afraid as well. These days stick with me as a leader because I knew I had to really unite the organization. Unite for both staying safe and to serve our customers. I also knew I had to be out with the team. In the case of fear and uncertainty, it's important to be present with your team. They needed to see me. I'm going on an interesting side trail here just for a moment here. I don't know why this was the case, but every day in the early stages of the pandemic, I'd wake up and I'd have a silly nursery rhyme in my head. And the nursery rhyme, you've heard this nursery rhyme, the wheels on the bus go round and round, right? You've heard that. In the pandemic, in the early days, the wheels on the bus did not go round and round. They fell off and they were flat and you'd have to pick them up and stick them back on. That's what leaders did. We'll put our wheels back on the bus. And again, we work with the unseen hazards every day, but I can tell you that I had some of the toughest and gruffest and our most seasoned individuals stare me in the eye and talk to me about really fear. Fear for their families, fear with their coworkers, fear for the virus. My job and our leadership as leaders was to keep the wheels on the bus for the company, but frankly, also for the state. So the lesson for me really, and again, it doesn't sound very strategic, but leaders need to be present. Leaders need to sometimes get out in the field or in the plant and row with the team. Be present, get in the boat and row with your team. And we were successful. We proved that we could be safe. We proved that we can serve our customers in all conditions. And ultimately, one company united a force of change. May 25th, 2020. Midst of the pandemic, disconnected from one another, and then the news of George Floyd. People across the company halted. Shared stories of injustice, inequities, hurt, and wounds created throughout generations. It was a time to connect and a time of understanding and to really go beyond those things that we do at work. These days stay with me as a leader because I knew I had to do something. In hard times, leaders lean in and leaders stand up. I saw with new eyes the experience many of our coworkers have experienced over time. And it turns out, like, I have a regular meeting with one of our minority groups, and it just so happens I was meeting with them 2 days after the George Floyd event. And in that moment, in that meeting, they shared very raw emotions and experiences that frankly shocked me. Shocked me that it exists in today's world, in today's modern world. And perhaps I'm a bit naive. But I'll tell you this, I was left with emptiness. And as a leader, I can't stand there in hard times and emptiness and not lean in and not stand up. We need to move this really from just a moment of sadness and hurt and to really make it a movement of positive change, not just for our company, but for our communities in the world. Now, I would argue we are just at the beginning of this story, and there are many topics on the agenda today, but it also starts with a commitment from each one of you. We have that same commitment, 8,500 strong, united as a force of change. And the headline of this document, our commitment says, I see you and you belong. I see you and you belong. This is critically important for us because what I recognized when talking with that group of minority individuals is it was the first time they'd shared those experiences. And we needed to create that space where they were seen and where they were belonged. Now, as Michael shared, by all accounts, we're great in the category of diversity, equity, inclusion, ranked number 1 by Forbes, both as a company and the number 1 utility company in the nation. But I'll tell you this, there is more work to be done. There's more work to be done. I see you and you belong. And it requires us to create a space for all, where all can bring their full self to work. Because when we know better, we do better. And we can all do better. Our work is not done here. And it's going to take us all together to be a force of change, to create spaces where everyone belongs. The stories I've shared are moments for me in my leadership, where my calling hit the heart and how I serve. Now, some may say that I'm intense. I know a few coworkers who would say that, and they're absolutely right. I love my company, I love our coworkers, and that love comes from what we do every day and how we serve the communities here across Michigan. At Consumers Energy for 135 years, 8,500 coworkers come to work each day with a heart of service. This is not about electric and gas. This is about light and heat and the quality of light we all get to enjoy. For us at Consumers Energy, this is a calling. This is why I love getting up every day to lead and serve, because it's not about doing the easy things. It's about doing the hard things. It's about standing and leading in times of challenge and controversy. That's what gets me excited. And so over the past year, we've seen some amazing things, some extraordinary things, and it's so good to be a part of it and lead a big change. Now my final story. June 23rd, 2021. Yes, tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow is a day I will never forget. How do I know that? I know I will never forget tomorrow because we will announce really to the world about becoming a force of change. Tomorrow we will announce the next steps in our clean energy transformation. It would be tempting as a leader of a company that makes money by burning fossil fuels to argue the data on climate change. It would be tempting as a leader of a company that sells products produced by burning fossil fuels to resist acting toward a new purpose. But our service goes beyond our product. Our company is united to serve 7 million residents who call Michigan home. And we will do what is needed to protect our future, including our planet. Our commitment to this is so important that we've made even bigger commitments. And that's what we'll announce tomorrow. Commitments to protect the planet. And frankly, more than any energy company out there. Net zero methane emissions by 2030. Net zero carbon emissions by 2040. And since 2016, we've retired 7 coal plants through our clean energy plan. Ending the coal era, expanding renewables, and building a smarter grid is our contribution to a healthier and cleaner world. We are listening to the people of Michigan. Our customers deserve clean, affordable, and reliable energy. It's not enough for us to be inspired. We must be inspired to cause change. That's what today is about. As leaders, you are at stake for your companies, for the community, for our state, and frankly, the world. As we sit here today, the question is, where do we put our leadership energy to make a difference and become a force of change? Thank you.